Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Here with another P3D flight. Right off the bat, some pretty exciting news. So, as I mentioned in the previous video, I'm still flying P3D V3. I haven't upgraded to V4. This is probably going to be the last flight you see in V3, so wave it goodbye. By the time I upload another video, I'll either have moved on to V4 or possibly X-Plane 11. I think the latter, V4, or sorry, the former V4, is much more likely than X-Plane because I'm just integrated with P3D as a platform, and I think making the shift to X-Plane would be challenging and a bit stressful. I'm not completely ruling it out, but I don't have room on my SSDs for both simulators, so at this point I kind of have to pick one or the other unless I plan on getting more storage on my computer. So it's likely to be V4, but at any rate, this is, if things go as planned, and as hoped, this will be the last V3 video you guys see. It'll be P3D V4 next. So we're on the ground at Boston, as you can see, flying WestJet in the 737-700 PMDG NGX, as you know, familiar with. And we're flying up to Canada. We're flying to Toronto from Boston. About an hour and a half long flight. For those of you who enjoy seeing something out of the US, this sort of qualifies, I guess. I might do some flying in Europe soon. But at any rate, we are on the network. We're on VATSIM. The weather looks good. Boston Center's online, and he already gave us our PDC, which is pre-departure clearance. I'll talk about that more in the flight deck. I kind of explained that last video. So if he stays online, we'll have control for at least part of the flight, which is great. And I think that's all the important stuff, so let's hop in the flight deck and get started. Alright, welcome in the flight deck. So the aircraft is already fairly well set up. The battery and the emergency exit lights. The emergency exit lights are on, the battery is on, ground power has been connected, I believe. Yes, it has. The lighting's on, we have the logo light and the position light on for the time being. The IRSs are currently in the process of aligning. We're boarded up, we have our fuel on board, which is about 13.3 thousand pounds, and we have our passengers on board. Our zero fuel weight is 113,500 pounds, taking 144 passengers, and whatever belongings they have. Window heat's on, a lot of the overhead panel here is pretty good to go. The doors are all closed and the jetway's been pulled, although I must admit these jetways don't move, so it was never never over here and never pulled. Right, so we can get the passenger signs later. Let's go ahead and set the pressurization panel. So we're going up to a flight level of 34,000 feet. That's flight level 340. And landing altitude, we'll worry about this as we're getting ready to descend. We do want this set to auto. So the pressurization panel is good to go, and for the time being, the overhead panel is fine. Center fuel pumps, well, all the fuel pumps off, but the center fuel pumps are off, and we have no fuel, rather, in the center tanks. So, oh, look at that. Somebody just loaded in here on the ground. A Delta flight. Yeah, I'm at their terminal. They're probably not too happy about that. This flight is generally flown with a -8, and it goes off the terminal right down there. That's Terminal 1, or Gate 1. But this plane's too big for that gate, so I moved over here, which is the Delta terminal, as you can see. Hopefully Delta doesn't get mad at us. And this is actually the old Fly Tampa scenery. The new one's only for V4, so get that once I make the move. At any rate, I said we had PDC, which means they send your clearance to you. You don't have to do it by voice. So our squawk code is 4746. Whoops. 4746. Like so. And center is going to be on, let me have a look over here. On my other monitor. I believe it's 134 point something. Oh man, is there like an event in Boston? There's a handful of planes here. It's on 134.7. So I'm not going to tune to that yet because it would be hard for me to speak over all the other pilots, but we'll put that in the standby and then tune that when we need to. And we can get right into the FMS here. So we're on the ground at Boston. Pull the GPS here and align the IRS. We're headed to Toronto. Flight number is, well, we're flying WestJet and the flight number is 11, so WestJet 11 is the call sign. Runway for departure, I do not know. Let me see if Boston has an ATIS up. That would be useful information to know. Let me have a look. Great, they do. ILS 4 right approach and 15 right approach. They're departing runway 9. Great, that's what I was kind of suspecting. And that works well. So departure off runway 9. And we can put in our route. So we're going to be on the Highland 5 departure. That takes us to the exit fix, which is Highland. I did not mean to double click that. Let's get rid of that. Then we go to CAM, that's a VOR identifier. Cambridge VOR, that's correct. To GONS, which is a fix of some kind. To WAZI. And then we join the arrival from WAZI. So the departure is the Highland 5. The arrival is the Ling. Now let me check the weather at Toronto to get an idea of what runway we can expect. We may have to change this in the air, but it'd be good to be as prepared as we can be. So wind at Toronto is 1707, so probably landing 23 or 24. We'll plan 24 and we'll plan 24 right. WAZI transition and the ILS will be 24 right. Yeah. Pinkma transition. Let me see if we have any of that going on here. I don't believe we need to worry about the Pinkma, although I will take a look at that when we're in the air. For now, we won't put a transition on the approach. Should have a good flight plan. We can just step through it to make sure it matches. So I did say last time I could edit in charts, or I might try. The software I was using didn't allow it, but I got some new freeware software for video editing, and I'll mess around. No promise it'll be here, but you might see a chart somewhere on here as I'm editing this. So we're off runway 9. That's a 092 heading. Climbing at or above 4,000 to Claw. Left-hand turn to Court. Left-hand turn to Stace. Then a left-hand turn to Highland, and then we're on our way. And then the arrival, we can take a look at that when we're in the air and briefing for the descent. But I trust that those fixes are correct. So the zero fuel weight will autofill. Our reserve fuel is, take a look at the flight plan in PFPX, which again is on another monitor. I apologize that you guys can't see that. Reserves, we'll call it 3.5. Cost index, we'll use a cost index of, let's go 35. Flight level is 340. And there is that. Takeoff performance off runway 9. Let me go ahead and calculate that. We're going to be flaps 1. We're going to have a 22K D rate. We're going to have plus 38 on the selected OAT. Outside air temperature is what that stands for. Again, flaps 1. Our CG is 23.8%, which gives us a trim of about 5.5 units on the elevator. And our V-speeds are in. So, there's the CDU pre-flight complete. Let's go ahead and set the parking brake. And we can open the left forward fuel pump. Or the number 1 forward fuel pump, even. And we'll fire up the APU. Throw the yaw damper on. Get the passenger signs on. And CAP is coming up. We can set the MCP. So V2 is 135. Heading out of here is 092. Top altitude out of here on the departure on the SID is 5,000 feet. We got speed, we got heading, we have altitude. We can throw in the flight directors. We'll hold off on setting the auto brake for now. And we can go ahead and set the altimeter, and we can also arm VNav and LNav, since we're on an RNav departure. So, altimeter at Boston, 3012. That looks good to me. And ATIS information that's currently up is information C, Charlie. So let me just make a note of that. Fantastic. So, see, is the APU up and running? It is. The APU gens are available. Connect to the APU generators, and let's come down here to the, if I can grab it, to the menu, FS actions, and we can get rid of all our ground connections. Air conditioning, ground power, and the chocks can all go out. Like so. And we're about ready for push and start. So I do think we need to call him for taxi because, or sorry, for pushback even. I can check vPilot real quick. You're gonna lose sound as I change the window, so I apologize for that. But let me see specifically with this PDC what he said to do. Ready to push, yeah. So we need to call him for push because this is all active runway, or sorry, active movement on the airport. So at most American airports, they say push and start your discretion. Not the case at Boston. I've made that mistake before. So here's what we'll do. We're gonna go ahead and call him for push right now. Let's go for it, and hopefully we can slip in there fairly quickly. Boston, good day. It's WestJet 11 on the ground at Logan, gate Alpha 6 on the Highland departure. ATIS information Charlie, looking for push.
WestJet 11, Boston Center, pushback, your discretion, advise at spot 7, ready to taxi.
Okay, pushback or discretion, we'll call you for taxi, WestJet 11. Okay, there we go. So we're good for push. We will open up the fuel pumps here.
Oscar Echo Hotel Alpha Bravo, Boston Airport.
Anti-collision light is on.
Miles, report the airport in sight.
And I'll leave him on the frequency, and hopefully I can speak over him. Transponder set, mode Charlie.
Oscar Echo Hotel Alpha Bravo, cleared visual approach, runway 4 left.
Alright, let's call for push.
Visual approach, runway 4 left, Hotel Alpha Bravo.
So we'll wait for the ground crew to come over and do their thing.
Flight deck, this is ground crew, stand by for pushback. Locking gear.
Great. Okay. I do have a checklist that I could use. I don't want to jump into it too much at this point.
Express 222, join runway 33 right, cross runway 4 left, then turn left on November.
Yeah, the checklist looks good.
Ground crew departure check is complete. Nose gear steering disconnected for push. Release parking brakes.
Alrighty, and we'll go ahead and release the parking brakes for him.
Okay, here we go. All clear behind the aircraft. Safe to start engines at your discretion.
And we'll start engine number 2.
All engines clear. Start that wheel.
Look for about 2.5 N1 or 25 N2, and then we'll feed in fuel to engine number 2.
Okay, Express 222, turn left on November, cross runway 33
All right,
left,
fuel going
then
into
go
engine
now,
number
go to the ramp.
2.
Left on November, cross runway 33 left, then going out to the ramp, Express 222.
And we might have to stop ourselves here because unfortunately GSX doesn't like this airport position and it can't turn us on the pushback, so it pushes us straight back.
Oscar Golf Bravo with 09012, runway
Good start
4 left.
on number 2. We'll start number 1.
Number 4 left, clear the lane, VGL over Bravo, FC airport and then on the site.
Alright, I'm going to tell GSX to go ahead and stop us right here. And we'll feed fuel into engine number 1. It should tell us to set the parking brake. Hello, GSX?
Set parking brakes, please.
There we go. Alright, we'll set the auto brake to RTO now. We'll wait for a good start on number 1 and then we'll arm the auto throttle. Start valve still open there. Starter cut out and the start valve should close. Arm the auto throttle. Set flaps 1 for departure. We can transfer off the APU gens onto the engine generators. And turn off the APU and the bleed. Set the packs to auto, the isolation valve.
Steering connected, pins removed.
Alright,
vehicle
GSX.
Disconnected.
Set the isolation valve to auto, set the electric hydraulic pumps on, probe heats on. The yaw damper is on. Throw on the taxi light. Engine start switches to continuous. We should set our trim for takeoff, which is 5.45 units. So we hop down here to do so. There's about 5 units.
Clear behind the
There's about
aircraft,
5.5. We'll check the flight controls. Just make sure we got good movement on them. Elevator and the ailerons look good to go, as does the rudder. Okay, so we've transferred power, the bleed, and the APU is off. The packs are on, hydraulics, probe heat, trim set, flap set. We check the flight controls. Auto throttle's armed, auto brakes RTO, taxi light is on. I believe we're ready to get the heck out of here. And yeah, the engine start switches as well. That's a crucial one. So as we approach the runway, we're going to want to get the transponder to TARA, get the weather radar on, get the lights on and start the clock. And what we can do here, use that click spot for the clock. Real quick, set the NDs before we go any further. So traffic on the NDs. Let's get data as well, and on the right hand side we'll do traffic, terrain, and airport information. And we'll give them a call. Boston, WestJet 11, ready for taxi.
WestJet 11, runway 9er, taxi via Kilo, hold short of runway 4 left.
9er via Kilo short 4 left, WestJet 11. Cool, let's get on out there.
Runway 75, readback is correct. Expect runway 4 left. Break WestJet 11, wind 11012, runway 9er, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 9 are cleared for takeoff, WestJet 11. Alrighty, let's go. Radar's on. Transponders TARA. We have traffic on the NDs. We're cleared, so lights on. We don't need the retracts or the turn-offs. Taxi lights off and the strobes on. Let's get out of here. Start the clock. And we'll just keep it rolling. 40% N1. Engine stable. This is quite a short runway, but I do think we have the power to get off it. Airspeed's alive. We're through 80. Okay, positive rate, bring up the gear. N1 LNAV VNAV speed. There's our acceleration altitude. I'm going to keep the nose up a bit here just so we hit at or above 4,000 at claw. Bring the flaps up. Whoa, look at that turbulence. Whoa. That is wild. Alright, flaps are retracted, autopilot's in. The gear's up and off, the auto brake's off. Flaps retracted. We can get the start switches off. Get the landing lights at 10,000 feet, and the rest of the lights are good to go.
WestJet 11, radar contact, common maintain 14,000.
14,000, WestJet 11. What is this turbulence? This is the most insane thing I've seen. No, can we go back to VNAV? I can't even click on the aircraft because it's so bumpy. Holy smokes. Is this like a cruel joke? I hope this smooths out soon. This is wild. Alright, anyway, we're off and away. Out of Boston, through 7,000 feet, cleared up to 14,000. And off to Toronto we go. Hello, welcome back guys. We're up at cruise and we're going to be descending soon, so let's just quickly step through that. Boston Center just handed us off to no one. We're monitoring advisor, we're on Unicom, and he did descend us down to flight level 320 from our cruise, which was 340. So let's go ahead and reset the MCP altitude. We're coming down on the Ling arrival. And we're going to be, let's see how low we can go on here. We go down to, it looks like 3,000 feet at Deckney. So we'll set 3,000 feet on the MCP altitude. Like so. Landing altitude at Vancouver. Let me have a look here. See if I can find out what it is. It's about 550 feet. So we'll set that here on the pressurization panel. 550, 600 feet roughly. And we'll need to find the approach plates as well for the ILS. But the pressurization panel set now. Actually, yeah, let me find those plates. This might take a minute because this is just one massive PDF. I can't pull up the individual charts, unfortunately. But I will search for it quickly, so hopefully this doesn't take too long. Oh my, there are a lot. We're going to be on 24 left, which is, there we go, found it. Elevation is, let's see if it lists it here, the airport elevation. Yeah, 550 feet. So the ILS frequency is 11.95. So we'll set 1195 on both the navigation radios. There we are. And the inbound course is 237. How long is the runway? That's a good question. I think we can use an auto brake of 1 and we'll be just fine. We'll be landing at fairly low speed, so we'll set an auto brake of 1. The minimums are 747 on the barometric altimeter, so we'll spin that up. It'll take a minute. .747, there we are. So as far as the approach goes, this is going to take us down on a left downwind for, I can step us through this to show you. So as you can see here, this is going to take us on a left downwind, and then we'll turn ourselves to final unless control comes online. Currently, Toronto is uncontrolled, so for the time being, we'll be self-vectoring ourselves. And then finally, our landing speed. Let me hop down here. Init ref, flaps 30, and what, we have 7.2 on board. We're estimated to have 5.8 at Toronto, so we'll take this down to what? That's a difference of 1,500 pounds roughly, so 119 on the gross weight. So flaps 30 and a landing speed of 128 knots. I think we're ready to go. Let's just check the weather at Toronto, make sure the departure, or sorry, the arrival and the approach are still makes sense and relevant. Winds 160 at 9er, so we could potentially land on the 15s, I suppose. But I don't know if they'd have a preferred runway. Let me check flight radar, because then we can see what they're doing real world ops and go based on that. So, CYYZ, let's see. Zoom on in. It's hard to tell, really. Let's take a look at final approach. Okay, so yeah, they are landing to the southwest. So it will be the 2 3s, 2 4s, so 2 4 right still does work. Cool. And the altimeter there is 2997. Okay. So, familiarized with the approach. See, we'll start descending in about 40 miles. We'll turn on the passenger signs. And I'll see you guys as we get a bit closer to the airport and ready to shoot the approach. Alright, so we're here on our downwind. We're just about to turn to base to land on 24 right. So passing through 4,500 feet. The aircraft is, it's not fully configured, but we've done a lot. The engine start switches are on. We have flaps 5 out. The landing lights are on under 10,000. Pressure set to the local setting here at Toronto, 2997. And let's go ahead and make this left-hand turn, whoops, on a, let's do a 330 heading here. And we'll shallow out this rate of descent, 750 feet per minute. And there's 1,000 to go. Go ahead and drop the speed down to 173 knots. We'll just kind of slowly creep down the speed. The airport is right out over here-ish somewhere. Could see it there earlier. Alright, speed's good, altitude's good. Let's go ahead and make this turn to final. 265 heading should be pretty good. And we will arm approach. So we roll out, we'll be about 10 miles from the runway. There's the radio altimeter. And there we are, level at 3,000. Picking up a bit of a 7-knot wind here, kind of off the... It's kind of a left quartering, not quite quartering, but a bit of a tailwind component. And we'll just turn slightly more here to make this intercept heading a little more gentle. Alright, there's the localizer. Let me just make a quick call on Vatsim. Perfect. Alright, picking up the glide slope, we'll drop the gear, arm the spoilers, and take flaps 15. Get on the rest of our lights. We don't need the turn-offs to get the taxi light on for taxi. Landing lights are on. Missed approach altitude 3,000 feet set, so we're standing by on landing speed and landing flaps. Landing speed is 128 knots. We'll go 133. Landing speed is set. And we'll take flaps 30. Landing flaps are set. We're fully configured to land. Runway is in sight, and it appears I'm on the wrong runway, so we're going to sidestep. Let's do this. This will be fun. A little bit impromptu here. But I made a mistake. We're on 24 left where we want 24 right. So let's remedy this. Pull out the auto throttle as well. We're visual, so flight directors can go out, and we'll just fly this in totally visually. Getting a little low. We'll just trim up. Pull the nose up. Shallow out our rate of descent. This was totally unplanned, and a bit of a error makes for a slightly fun sidestep. And now we're getting pushed by that crosswind, so let's stay in the runway here, add a bit of power. Alright, looking better. So I must have entered the ILS frequency for 24 left instead of 24 right. Bit rough there. I had to pull out the throttle to help lose some altitude. But we're down. Hold up the nose. Let it drop. Reversers are out, and we'll keep it rolling. Manually braking, disengage the auto brake. Let's see where we're at. That exit would have been tough to make. We can make this next one down here on the right, which is Charlie 4. Okay, so get the aircraft cleaned up and I'll see you guys at the gate. Alright, welcome to Toronto. That was a fun little flight. I apologize for the stutters. Those seem to be new. The only two things I can think of is that it's either my SSD needs to be cleaned up because Fraps is it's while it's writing to the SSD, it's causing some kind of issues, and that's what's causing the stuttering. Or I just overclocked my PC. That could also be it. So I'll tinker with things and try and fix that for the next video. Hopefully it wasn't too disruptive for your viewing experience. Fun little flight. Thanks for joining me on it. As always, social media links are in the description below. And any comments, feedback, always welcomed. Flight requests, again, can't promise I'll do them, but I'm open to them. I'm all ears. Next flight might be in Europe. I'm not quite sure, but we might do something like Heathrow to Glasgow, or Glasgow to Heathrow, or Gatwick. We'll see. But thanks a lot for watching, guys, and until next time, I will see ya.